What if the secret to success wasn't about talent, luck, or massive effort? What if it came down to something far simpler, getting just a little bit better every single day? Think about it. No one wakes up one morning suddenly transformed into an expert, an athlete, or a leader. Progress doesn't happen in an instant. It happens in small steps, taken consistently. The biggest mistake people make is believing that improvement requires extreme effort. They wait for the perfect moment to make a big change. They tell themselves they'll start when they have more time, more energy, or more confidence. But waiting only leads to more waiting. The truth is, real growth happens in small, almost invisible ways. The problem is that most people overlook these moments because they seem too small to matter. Imagine two people standing at the base of a mountain. One waits for motivation to strike, hoping for a burst of energy to sprint to the top. The other simply starts walking, one step at a time. Who reaches the peak first? It's obvious. The person who took small, steady steps gets there while the other is still waiting. This is how improvement works. Small, daily efforts compound over time, turning into something significant. The challenge is that improvement isn't always visible in the moment. If you exercise today, you won't see immediate results. If you read one page of a book, you won't instantly become wiser. If you practice a skill for 5 minutes, you won't master it overnight. That's why so many people give up before they see real progress. They expect results too quickly and get discouraged when nothing seems to change. But the truth is, change is happening. You just don't notice it yet. Think about a glass of water placed in a freezer. Nothing seems to happen at first. The temperature drops degree by degree, but the water stays liquid. Then at a certain point, when it reaches the freezing point, everything changes. The water turns solid. The shift appears sudden, but in reality, it was happening the entire time, just below the surface. This is exactly how personal growth works. You put in effort day after day without immediate results. Then one day, everything clicks. This book isn't about quick fixes or unrealistic promises. It won't tell you to wake up at 4 a.m., follow a complicated routine, or push yourself to exhaustion. Instead, it will show you how to make small, manageable changes that lead to big results over time. It will teach you how to shift your mindset, build better habits, and stay consistent without burning out. The key to getting better every single day isn't willpower or motivation. It's understanding how progress really works. It's learning to trust the process, even when you don't see immediate results. It's knowing that small actions done repeatedly will always outperform occasional bursts of effort. The biggest advantage of this approach is that it works for everyone. No matter where you're starting from, no matter what your goal is, the principles in this book will help you move forward. The only requirement is consistency. You don't have to be the smartest, the most talented, or the most disciplined person in the room. You just have to show up every day and take one step in the right direction. Most people overestimate what they can achieve in a week and underestimate what they can achieve in a year. They set huge goals, push themselves too hard at the start, and then quit when they don't see instant progress. The problem isn't that they aren't capable, it's that they're approaching improvement the wrong way. They focus on intensity instead of consistency. But the most successful people understand that real progress isn't about doing something perfectly once. It's about doing something imperfectly over and over again until it becomes second nature. If you want to get better every single day, you need to shift your focus. Stop looking for dramatic transformations and start looking for small improvements. Instead of aiming to be perfect, aim to be slightly better than you were yesterday. This shift in perspective changes everything. It removes the pressure of immediate success and makes growth feel achievable. Throughout this book, you'll learn how to apply this approach in different areas of your life. You'll see how small mindset shifts can break negative thought patterns. You'll discover how tiny habits can replace willpower. You'll understand how small changes in your environment can make growth effortless. And most importantly, you'll learn how to stay on track even when progress feels slow. No matter what your goal is, to become healthier, more skilled, more productive, or more confident, the process is the same. Small, consistent actions add up. The hardest part is trusting that the effort you put in today will pay off later. It requires patience. It requires a long-term view. But the good news is that once you start thinking this way, everything becomes easier. There's a simple question that will guide you throughout this book. What's one thing I can do today to improve just a little bit? That's it. No pressure, no perfectionism, just a small step in the right direction. If you commit to this question every day, you'll be surprised at how far you can go. So let's get started. Chapter 1, the mindset shift from stagnation to growth. Most people believe improvement comes from doing more effort, more hours, more willpower. But real improvement doesn't start with action. It starts with how you think. Before you can change what you do, you have to change how you see progress, failure, and growth. The biggest obstacle to getting better every day isn't a lack of skill, time, or resources. It's a mindset that keeps you stuck. If you believe progress is about natural talent, you won't even try to improve. If you believe failure is a sign that you're not good enough, you'll avoid challenges. If you believe change has to be dramatic, you'll get discouraged when results don't come quickly. These beliefs stop people from improving, not because they lack potential, but because they've convinced themselves they can't grow. There are two ways to think about progress. The first is a fixed mindset, the belief that abilities are set in stone. In this mindset, people see intelligence, talent, and skill as things you either have or don't. If you struggle with something, it means you're not meant for it. If you fail, it means you're not good enough. This mindset leads to frustration, avoidance, and stagnation. It makes improvement feel impossible because any struggle is seen as proof that you're not capable. The second way to think about progress is a growth mindset, the belief that abilities are developed through effort. In this mindset, people see intelligence, talent, and skill as things that grow over time. Struggle is not a sign of failure, it's a sign of learning. Failure is not a verdict on your ability, it's part of the process. Every challenge is an opportunity to improve. With this mindset, people keep going even when things get difficult. They understand that effort leads to progress and progress leads to success. The difference between these two mindsets is massive. A person with a fixed mindset gives up easily. A person with a growth mindset keeps pushing forward. A person with a fixed mindset avoids difficulty. A person with a growth mindset embraces challenges. The result? People with a growth mindset improve, while those with a fixed mindset stay the same. Most people think they have a growth mindset, but in reality, they act like they have a fixed one. They say they want to improve, but the moment things get hard, they back away. They say they believe in effort, but when they don't see results fast enough, they lose motivation. Growth isn't about what you say. It's about how you respond to difficulty. When something challenges you, do you see it as a reason to stop or as a reason to get better? To get better every single day, you need to shift to a true growth mindset. You need to train yourself to see failure as feedback. You need to stop worrying about looking good and start focusing on getting better. You need to move past the idea that progress should feel easy and start embracing discomfort as a sign that you're learning. The way you think about effort matters. Many people assume that struggling with something means they're not good at it. They believe if something doesn't come naturally, they should quit. But struggle isn't a sign of failure. It's a sign of growth. When something feels hard, it means your brain is adapting, strengthening, and forming new connections. The only way to improve is to go through this process. This applies to everything: learning a new skill, improving your body, becoming more productive, mastering a craft. The best performers in any field don't avoid struggle. They seek it. They know that the discomfort of practice is what leads to progress. The people who succeed are the ones who push through the difficult moments instead of running from them. One of the most powerful mindset shifts is to stop fearing mistakes. Mistakes are proof that you're trying. The only way to avoid mistakes is to stay exactly where you are, doing only what you're already good at. But that leads to stagnation. The people who improve every day are the ones who see mistakes as part of the process. They learn from them, they adjust, they try again. Over time, those small adjustments add up to massive improvement. This shift in mindset is not just about motivation. It has real, measurable effects on progress. Studies show that people who believe abilities are developed through effort achieve more than those who believe abilities are fixed. This is true in school, business, sports, and personal growth. The way you think about progress directly affects how much progress you make. The best part is that a growth mindset is something you can develop. You don't have to be born with it. You can train yourself to think this way. The first step is awareness, recognizing the moments when you're thinking in a fixed way. Every time you catch yourself saying, "I'm just not good at this," or "I'll never get better," stop. Replace it with, "I'm still learning," or "I haven't mastered this yet." That one small shift changes everything. The second step is action. Mindset alone won't make you better. You need to take steps to apply it. This means embracing challenges instead of avoiding them. It means pushing through difficulty instead of giving up. It means focusing on effort, not just results. When you train yourself to approach challenges this way, growth becomes automatic. Improvement is no longer something you hope for, it's something you create every day. The final step is patience. Growth takes time. The biggest reason people stop improving is because they expect results too soon. They work hard for a week, a month, or even a year, and when they don't see massive changes, they assume they've failed. But the best progress happens gradually. The most successful people in the world didn't get there overnight. They got there by improving a little bit every single day. If you make this shift, everything changes. You stop fearing failure. You stop needing instant results. You stop comparing yourself to others. Instead, you focus on getting just a little better than yesterday. That small shift compounds over time into something massive. The real question is simple. Do you want to stay where you are, or do you want to improve? If you want to improve, then the only thing that matters is making progress every day, no matter how small. The path to getting better is not complicated. It starts with the way you think. Change your mindset, and everything else follows. Chapter 2, Building Unshakable Habits. Most people assume success comes from big, life-changing decisions. In reality, success comes from small actions repeated consistently over time. The difference between those who improve every single day and those who don't isn't motivation, talent, or luck, it's habits. Habits determine your results. What you do every day matters far more than what you do once in a while. The challenge is that most people approach habits the wrong way. They rely on motivation, thinking they need to feel inspired to take action. But motivation is unreliable. Some days you feel energized, and some days you don't. If you depend on motivation, you'll only take action when you feel like it, and that guarantees inconsistency. The key to long-term improvement is removing motivation from the equation. You don't need to feel inspired to improve. You just need to build systems that make taking action automatic. A habit is an action you repeat so often that it becomes part of your identity. You don't have to think about it or push yourself to do it. It just happens. Brushing your teeth, checking your phone, drinking coffee in the morning, these are all habits. The goal is to make improvement as automatic as these daily behaviors. When something becomes a habit, it stops feeling like effort and becomes part of who you are. The first step to building better habits is starting small. Most people fail because they try to change too much too quickly. They set huge goals, push themselves hard at the start, and then burn out. The key is to make the habit so easy that it's impossible to fail. Instead of deciding to exercise for an hour every day, start with 5 minutes. Instead of reading a book a week, start with 1 page a day. Instead of waking up at 5 a.m., wake up 5 minutes earlier than usual. Small changes seem insignificant, but they work because they're sustainable. Once a habit becomes automatic, you can build on it. The second step is linking new habits to existing ones. This is called habit stacking, and it makes new behaviors easier to remember. Instead of trying to start a new habit from scratch, attach it to something you already do. If you want to stretch every morning, do it right after brushing your teeth. If you want to practice gratitude, do it while drinking your morning coffee. If you want to meditate, do it right after waking up. By connecting a new habit to an existing one, you make it easier to integrate into your daily routine. The third step is designing your environment to support your habits. Most people assume habits are about discipline, but your surroundings play a much bigger role. If you want to read more, leave a book on your bed or desk instead of hiding it on a shelf. If you want to eat healthier, keep healthy food visible and junk food out of reach. If you want to use your phone less, put it in another room instead of keeping it in your pocket. Willpower is weak, but your environment is strong. Make good habits easy and bad habits hard. The fourth step is eliminating unnecessary decision making. The more choices you have to make, the harder it is to stay consistent. If you have to decide every day whether to work out, what time to do it, and what exercises to perform, you're less likely to follow through. Instead, set a schedule. Do the same activity at the same time every day. If you plan to exercise, do it at the same hour. If you plan to write, do it at the same place. When you remove decisions, habits become automatic. The fifth step is using small rewards to reinforce habits. Your brain is wired to repeat behaviors that feel good. If you associate a habit with a reward, you're more likely to stick with it. The reward doesn't have to be big. It can be something as simple as checking off a task, listening to a song after completing a workout, or drinking a cup of tea after finishing a project. The key is to connect the habit with a positive experience so that your brain wants to repeat it. The final step is tracking progress without pressure. Most people quit habits because they feel like they're not making progress fast enough. Tracking your habits helps you see improvement, even when it's small. The key is to track without perfectionism. If you miss a day, don't quit. Missing once doesn't matter. What matters is not missing twice. Keep going, even if your progress isn't perfect. The biggest mistake people make with habits is expecting immediate results. They assume that if they don't see progress quickly, the habit isn't working. But real change is invisible at first. Just like a seed takes time to grow into a tree, habits take time to show results. The key is trusting the process. Even if you don't see results today, the work you put in is building momentum. Improvement isn't about willpower. It's about making small, consistent choices that become automatic over time. If you focus on building unshakable habits, you won't need motivation to get better every day. You'll improve effortlessly. Chapter 3, Mastering Discipline, the Art of Showing Up. Everyone has experienced the cycle of excitement, effort, and then failure. You start with motivation, feeling ready to change your life. You push hard for a few days or weeks, but then something happens. You miss a day, you feel tired, or life gets in the way. The excitement fades, and before you realize it, you've stopped completely. This is why most people fail to improve. They rely on motivation instead of discipline. Motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes depending on how you feel. If you wait to feel motivated before taking action, you'll only improve on the days when you feel like it. That's not enough. The people who get better every single day don't depend on motivation. They show up no matter what. That's discipline. Discipline is doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like it. It's following through on a commitment regardless of your mood. It's waking up early when you'd rather sleep in. It's going to the gym when you'd rather stay home. It's practicing a skill when you'd rather watch TV. The difference between people who improve and people who don't is not talent. It's the ability to do the work consistently, even when it's uncomfortable. Most people think discipline is about forcing yourself to work harder. It's not. Discipline is about making action the default. When something becomes non-negotiable, you don't waste energy deciding whether to do it. You don't argue with yourself. You just do it. That's the secret to showing up every day, removing the decision. One way to develop discipline is to make commitments in advance. If you decide in the moment whether to take action, your emotions will interfere. You'll find excuses. But if you commit ahead of time, you remove choice. If you plan to exercise at 7 a.m., you do it whether you feel like it or not. If you commit to writing 500 words a day, you do it no matter what. By setting non-negotiable rules, you make discipline easier. Another way to build discipline is to focus on small actions. Most people fail because they try to be disciplined in a way that's unsustainable. They push themselves too hard, thinking that if they don't give 100%, it's not worth doing. But discipline isn't about extremes. It's about consistency. If you're too tired for a full workout, do 5 minutes. If you can't write a full page, write a sentence. If you don't have time to read a chapter, read a paragraph. Small actions keep the habit alive. Missing one day won't ruin your progress, but breaking the pattern will. Accountability also strengthens discipline. When you keep commitments to yourself, you build trust in your own ability to follow through. But when you break promises to yourself, you weaken that trust. The best way to stay accountable is to track your habits. Seeing your progress builds momentum. It reminds you that every small action matters. If you don't want to track progress, tell someone your goal. When others know what you're committed to, you're more likely to follow through. The hardest part of discipline is getting started. Once you take the first step, the resistance disappears. The key is lowering the barrier to entry. If starting feels overwhelming, break the task into the smallest possible step. Instead of writing an article, write one sentence. Instead of running a mile, put on your shoes and step outside. Instead of studying for an hour, open the book. Once you begin, continuing becomes easier. The biggest misconception about discipline is that it requires suffering. People assume that pushing themselves means making life harder. But real discipline isn't about pain. It's about freedom. When you're disciplined, you control your actions instead of being controlled by your emotions. You don't waste time on excuses or regrets. You don't feel guilty about not improving because you know you're making progress every day. The people who succeed are not the most talented or the most motivated. They are the ones who show up day after day, no matter what. They don't make excuses. They don't wait for perfect conditions. They don't let feelings dictate actions. They take control. They understand that the secret to improvement is simple. Just keep going. Chapter 4: The Role of Environment in Personal Growth. There's a moment in life when you realize that no matter how much willpower you have, your environment plays a bigger role in shaping who you become. Think about the times you've tried to change. Maybe you wanted to exercise more, eat healthier, be more productive, or learn a new skill. You started strong, but over time, something pulled you back into old habits. It wasn't because you didn't care enough. It wasn't because you weren't motivated. It was because your surroundings were working against you. Your environment is either pushing you forward or pulling you back. If you're surrounded by distractions, temptations, and negativity, no amount of willpower will keep you on track. If you're surrounded by encouragement, clarity, and ease of action, you will improve almost effortlessly. The people, places, and things around you shape your actions, whether you realize it or not. Most people think change starts with discipline, but real change starts with design. If you want to make progress, you don't just need more effort, you need a better environment. The easiest way to change your life is to change what surrounds you. One of the biggest influences on your behavior is the people around you. It's impossible to rise when you're constantly surrounded by negativity. If the people in your life complain, avoid responsibility, or make excuses, their mindset will affect yours. Even if you try to resist, their attitude will subtly pull you down. On the other hand, when you're surrounded by people who are improving themselves, their energy pushes you to grow. Their habits become your habits. Their mindset becomes your mindset. Their drive becomes your drive. This is why choosing the right influences is one of the most important decisions you can make. It's not about cutting people out of your life. It's about being intentional with your time. Spend more time with people who inspire you, challenge you, and support your growth. If you don't have those people around you, seek them out. Join a group. Find a mentor. Read books that expose you to better ways of thinking. Surround yourself with people who represent the future you want, not the past you're leaving behind. Your physical environment also plays a massive role in your behavior. If your home is cluttered and chaotic, your mind will feel the same. If your workspace is full of distractions, your focus will suffer. If unhealthy food is always within reach, you'll eat it. Your environment shapes your choices. The key is making good decisions easy and bad decisions difficult. If you want to be more productive, create a workspace where focus happens naturally. Remove distractions. Keep your tools within reach. If you want to read more, put books in places where you'll see them. If you want to exercise, make your workout gear easy to access. If you want to stop wasting time on your phone, keep it out of sight when you need to focus. Willpower is weak, but environment is strong. The less friction there is between you and the right action, the more likely you are to take it. Another critical factor in your environment is how you structure your time. Many people struggle with personal growth not because they lack ability, but because they don't have space for it in their daily lives. They let their days get consumed by distractions, meaningless tasks, and obligations that don't serve them. Improvement doesn't happen in the gaps of a busy schedule. It happens when you intentionally make room for it. The best way to take control of your time is to design your day in a way that prioritizes progress. Set aside time for the things that matter. If you want to learn a skill, schedule time for it. If you want to get healthier, make space for exercise. If you want to build a business, carve out focused work time. If you don't make room for growth, something else will always take its place. Another overlooked aspect of environment is what you consume. The content you watch, the books you read, and the conversations you engage in all shape your thinking. If you fill your mind with negativity, gossip, and distractions, your mindset will reflect that. But if you expose yourself to ideas that challenge you, content that educates you, and conversations that inspire you, your mindset will naturally shift toward growth. Your mind is like a garden. What you plant in it determines what grows. The final piece of shaping your environment is removing what holds you back. Many people struggle to improve not because they don't know what to do, but because they are weighed down by things that drain their energy. Toxic relationships, unnecessary commitments, and endless distractions make progress feel impossible. The more you let go of what doesn't serve you, the more space you create for what does. Growth isn't just about adding new habits and routines, it's about subtracting what no longer fits the person you are becoming. When you create an environment that supports your growth, you don't have to force progress. It happens naturally. You don't have to rely on motivation or struggle with discipline. The right environment makes good choices easy and bad choices difficult. If you feel stuck, don't just try harder. Change your surroundings. Adjust your influences. Make better decisions effortless. You don't have to fight your environment. You can design it to work for you instead of against you. When you do, improvement stops being something you chase and starts being something that happens automatically every single day. Chapter 5, Sustaining Progress Without Burnout. If improvement were only about effort, everyone would succeed. But success isn't just about working hard. It's about working smart. The real challenge isn't getting better for a few days or weeks. It's staying consistent for months, years, and even a lifetime. The reason most people fail isn't because they're incapable. It's because they push too hard, too fast, and burn out before they reach their full potential. The biggest mistake people make is thinking that progress requires exhaustion. They believe that if they aren't working at full capacity all the time, they aren't improving. But growth isn't a sprint, it's a marathon. The key to lasting improvement is knowing how to sustain effort without breaking down. If you constantly push yourself to the limit, you'll eventually stop altogether. If you pace yourself, you'll continue improving every day, effortlessly. The first step to sustaining progress is understanding the power of consistency over intensity. Short bursts of extreme effort are impressive, but they don't last. What matters is what you can sustain over time. Running 10 miles in one day won't make you fit, but running 1 mile every day will. Writing for 5 hours straight won't make you a great writer, but writing for 30 minutes every day will. The key to long-term progress is not how hard you work in a single moment, but how often you show up. Most people fail because they try to do too much at once. They start with extreme goals, push themselves too hard, and then quit when it becomes unsustainable. The solution is to make progress easy to maintain. Instead of trying to be perfect, focus on being consistent. If you can't give 100% today, give 50%. If you can't give 50%, give 10%. Doing something is always better than doing nothing. The goal is to keep moving forward, no matter how small the step. Another key to sustaining progress is knowing when to rest. Many people resist rest because they see it as weakness. But rest isn't the opposite of progress. It's part of it. Every great athlete understands that recovery is essential. Every successful creator knows that stepping away from work is necessary. Rest isn't laziness. It's what allows you to keep going. Without it, burnout is inevitable. The best way to stay consistent is to build rest into your routine. Schedule time to recharge. Step away when you need to. The stronger your recovery, the longer you can sustain progress. Sustaining growth also requires adjusting your expectations. Many people quit because they expect results too quickly. They assume that progress should be fast and obvious, but real improvement is often slow and invisible. You won't always see daily changes, but that doesn't mean they aren't happening. Just like a seed takes time to grow into a tree, your efforts take time to show results. Trust the process, even when progress feels invisible. Another reason people burn out is because they tie their progress to external rewards. They only feel motivated when they see immediate results, but when results slow down, they lose interest. The key to sustaining effort is to shift your focus from outcomes to identity. Instead of working toward a goal, work toward becoming the kind of person who improves every day. A person who exercises regularly doesn't do it just to lose weight. They do it because it's part of who they are. A person who writes daily doesn't do it just to finish a book. They do it because they are a writer. When you make improvement part of your identity, it becomes automatic. Sustaining progress also means letting go of perfectionism. Many people quit because they expect themselves to be flawless. The moment they make a mistake, they feel like they've failed. But perfection isn't the goal. Progress is. You will miss days, you will have setbacks, you will make mistakes. None of that matters as long as you keep going. The only real failure is quitting. The key is to accept imperfection and keep moving forward. The final step to sustaining progress is finding joy in the process. If every step of improvement feels like suffering, you won't last. The people who sustain progress are the ones who learn to enjoy the journey. They find ways to make growth exciting. They celebrate small wins. They remind themselves why they started. The more you enjoy what you're doing, the easier it is to keep going. Improvement isn't about pushing harder. It's about showing up consistently, pacing yourself, and making sure you don't burn out before you reach your full potential. The goal isn't to be perfect every day. The goal is to never stop improving. If you stay consistent, adjust your expectations, and embrace the process, you will get better every single day, not for a week or a month, but for life.